you couldn't say that lives will be lost out of hand just like that. You know, I mean, it is a serious matter. I mean, there may be some. I mean, you can't say.
In 1973, Britain saw its biggest wave of industrial action since the Second World War, when ambulance drivers went on strike to protest the government's wage freeze. Here's how it was reported at the time.
With the worst and most critical of the accident peak hours behind them, the ambulance officers, who've been running the emergency services through the day, report that though they've coped, it's been a close thing. 2,000 men are on strike, and the officers, many of whom are normally behind administrative desks, have been driving ambulances and moving patients. The officers say they had no notice of the strike. They knew one was threatened for one day this week, but it wasn't till 7 this morning, when one shift went off and the next didn't come on, that they knew of the walkout. Enough officers were then on duty to keep 69 emergency ambulances on the road instead of the normal 150. Early on there were delays, with reports of an injured policeman lying in the road for 20 minutes before being picked up. A doctor stood by in the control room, specially to vet emergency calls. At the start of the day, more than 40 of the 76 London ambulance stations were completely shut down, with officers keeping the others going. But by afternoon, there were signs that some of the strikers were coming past the picket lines and into work. The time when one ambulance service spokesman was describing the day as very critical, did the men think they were endangering life with their action?
I wouldn't like to think and say lives will be lost. You know, it is an unfortunate possibility, you know, but to pin it down, you know, you couldn't say that lives will be lost out of hand just like that. You know, I mean, it is a serious matter. I mean, there may be some. I mean, you can't say. As such, we hope not.
Several hundred of the strikers marched to the House of Commons in support of their £8 a week pay demand. At lunchtime, traditionally one of the twin high spots of the day for emergency calls, along with the evening rush hour, more than 100 ambulances were out on call. The 999 calls were up by some 50% above normal, with a little over 2,000 patients to be picked up by the officers. Over the 24-hour period of this strike, they say they can hold the situation, but that if it went on any longer, then they'd need outside help.